is pure injustice. This is injustice. This is somebody's property. People are moving out from his building. Look at the vehicles. The comment is nice. He said the governor said you should come and pack this thing and sell my properties. This is pure injustice. This is pure injustice. This is injustice. The higher order. Where control? You say that the governor is aware.
The Igbo are widely known as one of Africa's most entrepreneurial people. Long before modern Nigeria, trade connected Igbo communities through bustling markets and regional commerce. After the Nigerian Civil War, many families had lost almost everything. Yet through determination, family support and the Igbo apprenticeship system, thousands rebuilt their life from scratch. Today, Igbo-owned businesses can be found across Nigeria, Africa, Europe, Asia, and North America. Their success is a testament to resilience and hard work. But success also raises an important question. If the Igbo have built wealth in almost every major city, why has a comparatively smaller share of that long-term investment been directed towards building industries, factories, and large institutions within Igboland itself? The question lies at the heart of this documentary. To answer it, we must first understand why so many Igbo entrepreneurs left home in the first place. Their decision to invest outside Igboland was not made by accident. It was driven by opportunity. During colonial era, the British developed major ports, railways, and commercial centers in cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Kano. These locations became the gateway for trade, attracting merchants from across Nigeria. After the Civil War, many Igbo entrepreneurs had little capital and needed the largest markets to rebuild quickly. They went where customers were, where imported goods arrived, and where business opportunities were greatest. That strategy worked remarkably well. Within a generation, the Igbo had become the most commercially successful groups in Nigeria. But every successful strategy must evolve with changing realities. A decision that made perfect sense 50 years ago may require fresh thinking today. As Igbo businesses flourished across Nigeria and Africa, another question quietly emerged. Who was benefiting the most from these investments? Whenever a businessman builds a factory, a shopping plaza, or a warehouse, he's doing more than creating personal wealth. He's creating jobs, he's increasing land values, he's generating tax revenue, he's helping another city grow stronger. Economists have long argued that private investment is one of the greatest drivers of regional development. Reports by World Bank and African Development Bank show that businesses attract infrastructure, industries, and more investment over time. Now imagine if a larger share of Igbo capital had been invested in Aba, Nnewi, Onitsha, Enugu, Awka, Owerri, Umuahia, and Abakaliki. How many more factories would exist today? How many more jobs would have been created? While no one can say the exact answer, the possibility is worth considering. But economics is only part of the story. The other part is about protecting wealth from risk beyond business itself. Business owners prepare for competition, changing markets, and economic downturns, but some risks cannot be predicted. Over the years, there have been documented cases where foreign-owned businesses, including those owned by Nigerians, were affected by xenophobic violence in South Africa. In Ghana, disagreements over retail trade regulations have also led to periods where some foreign-owned shops, including those operated by Nigerians, were closed or faced legal uncertainty. Even within Nigeria, episodes of political tension, communal unrest, and civil disturbances have disrupted businesses in different cities, sometimes leading to significant financial losses. These events do not mean that investing outside Igboland is unwise. Millions of businesses continue to operate successfully across Nigeria and Africa every day. However, they serve as an important reminder that wealth concentrated outside one's home region may face risk beyond the control of even the most experienced entrepreneurs. If history teaches us anything, it is that the world's most successful business communities never forgot to strengthen their home economic foundations.
That you people are coming there to vandalize and back all my properties. This is pure injustice. This is pure injustice. If this is belongs to you and you're taking it like this, will you be happy? This is my property that you people are moving and packing everything in my building, taking it, and buying them, selling them. And you say that the commissioner of police sent you and the governor sent you. It's somebody's property. Eh? This is pure injustice.
Throughout history, many successful trading communities expanded globally without neglecting their homeland. After economic reforms, overseas Chinese invested heavily in industries back home, helping transform cities like Shenzhen into global manufacturing centers. Members of the Indian diaspora also invested billions of dollars in technology, education, healthcare, and manufacturing, contributing to India's rapid economic growth while maintaining businesses abroad. Their strategy was not to choose between home and the world, it was to succeed in both. This is the lesson many people believe that Igbos can learn. Building factories, technology hubs, logistics centers, and industries in Igboland does not prevent investment elsewhere. Instead, it creates a stronger foundation from which global businesses can continue to grow. Fortunately, Igboland already possesses many of the ingredients needed to become one of Africa's leading economic regions. Igboland is not starting from zero. Aba has earned a reputation for manufacturing, leatherworks, garments, and skilled craftsmanship. Nnewi is widely recognized as one of Nigeria's leading industrial cities, home to numerous locally owned manufacturing companies. Onitsha remains West Africa's busiest commercial center, while Enugu continues to grow as a hub for education, technology, and professional services. These cities already have entrepreneurs, skilled workers, and thriving markets. What many analysts argue is still needed is a larger long-term investment in industries, industrial parks, logistics, energy, and modern infrastructure. If successful Igbo investors choose to establish factories, research centers, export businesses, and technology companies at home, these cities could become even stronger engines of economic growth. The potential is already there. The question is whether enough capital will be directed towards unlocking it. But economic transformation does not begin with government alone. It often begins when investors make bold decisions. Many people believe government creates economic prosperity, but in reality, history often shows the opposite. Businesses move first, workers follow, demands grow, then government and financial institutions respond with better roads, electricity, housing, schools, and transport systems. This pattern has been repeated in many successful economies around the world. When investors consistently choose one location, banks open new branches, developers build homes, universities expand, and supporting industries emerge. Imagine thousands of successful Igbo entrepreneurs committing part of their long-term investment to industrial projects across Igboland. The impact would extend far beyond individual profit. It could create employment, encourage innovation, strengthen local supply chains, and provide opportunities for future generations. Strong economies are rarely built by government alone. They are built when private investors believe in the future of their own communities. At the same time, wise investors know that putting all their wealth in one place, whether at home or abroad, is really the best strategy. The next chapter explores why balance matters. Every successful investor understands the importance of diversification. Owning businesses in different cities and countries can reduce certain risks and open new opportunities. The Igbo have mastered this strategy for generations, becoming respected entrepreneurs across Nigeria and around the world. But diversification should never become over-concentration. When too much of a family's lifetime wealth is tied to location outside its homeland, unexpected events, political tension, policy changes, insecurity, or economic shocks can have far-reaching consequences. The argument is not to abandon external market. It is to ensure that Igboland remains one of the strongest pillars of Igbo wealth. A factory in Aba, a logistic hub in Onitsha, a technology company in Enugu, or a manufacturing plant in Nnewi is more than a business. It is an investment in the future strength of the homeland. The goal is simple: build globally, but never neglect home. If today's entrepreneurs make different investment choices, the next generation could inherit a very different Igboland.
My name is Onitsha Ezokafo. I'm from Anambra State in Nigeria. Some videos were put up on social media by me, and I want to make clarification because a lot of people were asking what actually happened. So I just want to take out this time to explain what actually happened. This is regarding the Mandela's property, where some of the videos showed where people were looting properties that belong to the building that I own through my company, Area FM Radio Limited.
Every generation faces a defining challenge. For the generation after the Civil War, the challenge was survival and rebuilding. For today's generation, the challenge is transformation. Young Igbo entrepreneurs now operate in a digital economy where technology, innovation, and knowledge matters as much as physical location. This creates an opportunity to build globally competitive brands and businesses from within Igboland itself. Imagine software companies in Enugu serving international clients. Imagine factories in Aba exporting products across Africa. Imagine industrial expansion in Nnewi creating thousands of skilled jobs. These are not impossible dreams. They are possibilities that depend on vision, investment, and collaboration. The future of Igbo entrepreneurship does not have to be defined only by where Igbo trade. It can also be defined by what they choose to build at home, because true wealth is measured not only by what we earn, but by what we leave behind. Money comes and goes, but lasting institutions can serve generations. A successful business can provide income for one family. A factory can employ thousands. An industrial estate can transform an entire community. A university, hospital, or research center can continue creating opportunities long after its founders are gone. History shows that the world's most prosperous regions were built by people who invested not only for profit, but for permanence. Imagine an Igboland where industrial parks, modern hospitals, technology hubs, export processing zones, and vocational training centers, all funded through partnership between private investors and government. This is the kind of investment that creates generational wealth. The question is no longer whether the Igbo know how to build successful businesses. They have already answered that. The new question is where the next generation of landmark investments will rise. If those investments increasingly return home, what could the future of Igboland look like? An Igboland where young graduates no longer feel compelled to live in search of opportunity. Imagine about becoming one of Africa's leading manufacturing centers. Imagine Nnewi expanding its reputation as Nigeria's industrial powerhouse. Imagine Onitsha evolving into a world-class logistics and export hub, while Enugu becomes a center for technology, finance, education, and innovation. This vision will not become reality overnight. It will require visionary entrepreneurs, supportive government policies, improved infrastructure, access to finance, and sustained private investment. The Igbo have repeatedly demonstrated resilience, creativity, and determination in rebuilding after adversity. The same qualities that built successful businesses across Nigeria and the world can also build one of Africa's most dynamic regional economies. The opportunity is there, the talent is there. The question is whether the investment will follow. And that brings us to the final message in this documentary. This documentary is not a call to withdraw from Nigeria or the global economy. The Igbo have always been traders, innovators, and explorers. That spirit should never be lost. Instead, this is a call for balance. Continue to invest in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and international markets where opportunities exist, but let every major success also plant a seed at home. Build factories in Aba, support industries in Nnewi, develop technology companies in Enugu, expand logistics in Onitsha, create opportunities across Southeast. A stronger Igboland does not weaken the Igbo presence elsewhere, it strengthens it, because the people with a prosperous homeland can engage the world with greater confidence and resilience. The Igbo have shown that they can build wealth anywhere. The next chapter of that remarkable story may be written by building even more of that wealth at home.
Mandela's building was formerly belonging to Mandela's Group Limited. But sometime in 2020, the company wanted to sell the property and they offered it to the public. I picked an interest and I bid for the property, and we agreed, on the price of the property. But due to the fact that the property was it's a 17-story building, so the amount was also huge. I didn't even have the money then. So what I did was I seek for financing from Zenith Bank. So 2019, I wrote a letter for financing of the project of that property from Zenith Bank. That was Mr. Ebenezer, was the former GMD of Zenith Bank.
It's never decided by one person.
He approved
it is shaped by millions of decisions made every day. Every shop opened, every factory built, every investment made, every young entrepreneur mentored. Whether you fully agree with the ideas in this documentary or see them differently, one thing is certain: a conversation about the future of Igbo investment is worth having. Do you believe more private investment should return to Igboland? If so, which sector should come first? Manufacturing, technology, agriculture, education, or infrastructure? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. We look forward to hearing different perspectives. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, subscribe, and turn on notification for more in-depth stories on the history, economy, and future of Southeast and the Igbo people. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.
Oga, is this Igbo okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? Somebody's property. You people are parking my property. Is it okay? If it is at home, will you like it? Is it okay?
You are here to.
You're protecting them to carry my things. Is it okay?
I don't know where.
But is this right? Are you not a human being?
The property.
I'm not the property. You people are vandalizing my property. Is it okay?
The CP says.
He said the CP said you people should vandalize, carry all my properties away, and they are protecting them. He said the CP and government sent you people to come and pack my properties. By this time of the night, it's Friday, you will be parking. Look at vehicles lined up here. And you people are parking there, parking there that belong to me. Is it okay, Oga? Okay, if I'm here, and you are protecting them. This is pure injustice. This is pure injustice. This is wrong. This is wrong. No problem. No, they've asked people to stop. Now, what you're giving, you're protecting them now for them to pack all my things, to move, legalize my property, and move out my property. Is that okay? And you said the CP, we are aware of it, and the government sent you, give you approval. Is that okay? Is that fine? Yes, you're full man sweat.
I don't know what you're saying.
You're full man sweat. What I come to work for in this Lagos, you people now came and be backing it up, and you say the CP is aware. This is bad. Look at vehicle. Let her come. Look at vehicles. Look at vehicles and you people that back vehicles here. I said you said that CP is aware of this, and you said that governor sent you to come and vandalize the building. That I have an approval. I have a Lagos State government approval to renovate. You came here and barricade and packing my ACs, leaving my list, moving everything, and you said look at all my properties. It's Friday, you put vandalizing your property. I said the CP is aware, and the governor sent you. This is bad. This is injustice. I'm sure that governor will not be aware of. The governor cannot send you to come and pack something. What does the governor need ACs, need lift, need my property for? No problem. Look at the vehicles. Look at the vehicles. Look at this. These are things that I bought with my hard-earned money. These are things that I bought with my hard-earned money. People now came, said the CP sent you and government sent you to come and vandalize and take everything away from by this time. What is the time now? Is this okay? This is pure injustice. Look at the vehicles that they park here. That means they want to empty that building this night. Look at. Okay, you are moving, Abby. You are taking it out, Abby. What's the plate number? This is the plate number of the vehicle. This is almost our fourth vehicle. No problem. You said the CP is aware that people are coming here to by this time of the round. Which government will allow you to come and work on Sunday? Which government will allow you to come and work on Sunday? On Saturday and Friday night, which government will allow you to pack a bookie and come here? Is there any of this from government? Is there any of this government from government? Are these people government officials? Are they government officials? These people have a approval from Lagos State government to renovate. If you want to see the building for any reason, does that also give you the right for you to now go to my property and start vandalizing, breaking everything that is building down from the 16th floor to the first floor, packing them and putting them in the bus, line up buses like this, taking them out from my building, and the CP gave you instruction. You have a task force, and the Lagos State government is aware. The government not giving approval. And the Nigerian police is giving them protection. Are these boys here? Are they from Lagos State government? Are these boys here from Lagos? Are these advocates people from Lagos State government? Open this thing. Open this thing. Open there. Where is the Oga? So you are giving them protection?
No protection.
I should not open it. You are giving them. I should read them. I should open it.
Go and meet Awka.
Who is your Oga?
Supo. Go and meet her.
Supo. Is it right? Is it right? Is it right? You are protecting them to carry my things out of my building.
My own business. I'm here in the instruction that I should be here. So,
to protect them to carry my things.
Carry your things and
So they're carrying properties from here, but
to carry my things out is important. Yes, they give me instruction to go. The CP gave me instruction to come here and protect them to be carrying my things away from the building.
my own is to protect the building.
So this is how you are protecting the building.
I don't know. I come and met
You don't know. You met them here.
met all these vehicles.
You met them carry. So you are.
I didn't see anybody carry anything. Don't tell me that I got them carry something. Don't shout at me.
Okay.
I'm telling you something.
Okay.
I came here and met all these vehicles here.
Since Friday. Since Friday.
You came here on Friday.
I came here on Friday. I'm coming here every day, and all the whole videos of the truck that have been carrying things here. This number does it belong to Lagos government? This number. Is this Lagos government number? That one is also moving. They are all disappearing.
One by one. But see them, they're all disappearing.
You don't get the video already.
No problem.
That one is not
They're able to burn our boss.
No problem.
They're all disappearing.
No problem. Maybe you are running away, Abi. Police is protecting you guys to come and vandalize and take all my properties. Eh? He said the commissioner of police is aware and the governor gave you instruction. There is no how governor will give you instruction for you to come and take somebody's property. My name is Honora Ezokafo. I'm from Anambra State in Nigeria. Some videos were put up on social media by me, and I want to make clarification because a lot of people were asking what actually happened. So I just want to take out this time to explain what actually happened. This is regarding the Mandela's property, where some of the videos showed where people were looting properties that belong to the building that I own through my company, Area FM Radio Limited. Mandela's building was formerly belonging to Mandela's Group Limited. But sometime in 2020, the company wanted to sell the property and they offered it to the public. I picked an interest and I bid for the property, and we agreed, on the price of the property. But due to the fact that the property was it's a 17-story building, so the amount was also huge. I didn't even have the money then. So what I did was I seek for financing from Zenith Bank. So 2019, I wrote a letter for financing of the project of that property from Zenith Bank. That was Mr. Ebenezer, was the former GMD of Zenith Bank. So he approved that loan. No, but within a few time of the approval, when COVID came, so it became even more difficult for the bank to disburse that purchase, which also delayed a little bit. Eventually, the bank paid. 28th of August 2020, the bank paid for the property after I must have met up with my own requirement, which part of them was for me to provide my own equity contribution. And of course, I did. So the bank bought the property, and since then, from 2020 up until now, I have not had any, I never have or had or I'm having anything that has to do with title issues. The property equation, I have the title documents of the property. The moment the bank paid for the property, the Mandalas Group Limited transferred the title of that property to us in the name of Area FM Limited. It's a subsidiary of Best International Limited. So since then, we've been enjoying peaceful occupation in the property without any interruption until sometime in 2024, to be precise, 21st of January, when a fire incident happened. In fact, fire engulfed the property. So after then, the Lagos State government, through one of the agencies, Safety Commission, sealed the property, and everybody was meant to vacate the property. Of course, after the fire incident, the Lagos State Building Control Agency came, started demolition. The fire in question affected only the first floor, third floor, and maybe a few of the fourth floor, thereabouts, And thank God to Lagos State government firefighting agency that also helped out in putting out the fire, and also kudos to also the governor of the state who also, made sure that everything was put into camp. However, the Lagos State Building Control came and started demolish part of the property and all that, after which the property was open to some kind of, difficulty in putting it back to use again. Of course, I have to sort for, from Lagos State government to also put it back in use, because don't forget that as at that time, it was still on loan, so I have to also make it possible for the building to keep on paying, servicing the loan, alright? So, I went to Lagos State Safety Commission. They said before they will be able to talk on that property, I have to go and do non-destructive test. Then they referred me to Lagos State Ministry of Material Testing and Laboratory. So I went there. We wrote to the agency. This is the letter we wrote to the agency regarding for them to do the test on the building. This is the letter we wrote. Eventually, the agency received, acknowledged the letter, and they raised our assessment for us to pay, which is we also paid the Lagos State government. After which they carried out the integrity test on the property. After a few time, the test result was out. This is the integrity test report that came back from Lagos State Ministry of Material Testing and Laboratory, and these are the reports. Eventually, the final report of what it shows that the building is stable and the building doesn't have any issue. Look at it, so that we should go ahead and renovate. At that point, we went to Physical Planning Authority for us to apply for renovation permits for us to be able to to start development and also remodeling of the property. And they listed everything that we needed to do for us to go back to renovation. Part of them was for us to go and do our architectural drawing, which we also did. The structural drawing we did. We also structural drawing, MIE, all the whole drawing we completed it, and other requirements which we met. At the end of the day, the Lagos State government now, including the non-integrity test, which was even part of the major request from every agency that we went to, requested for this integrity test, which was part of the documents we submitted, and the title document and all that. So eventually they issued us a certificate. This is the approval permit. They issued us a renovation permit dated 18th of August 2025. It's barely about 3 months back behind. So we tried to also go back to the renovation of the property. Of course, it's also a setback to our business. So what we did was also request for another additional fund from the bank for us to renovate the property. We requested for funds from the bank to renovate the property. So, which in principle, the bank has also approved the loan for us to renovate. However, on to our greatest surprise, on Friday, we have security personnel on site. On Friday, I was at a TLS where I went to submit my renewal of my traveling visa because I'm supposed to be traveling for some business engagement. Some of my staff called me that there are members of the Lagos State agency, Lagos State Building Control, the task force of Lagos State, and the policemen. They were in the building trying to enter into the property, and they are insisting that they must open up the place. And I told them that, what are you people calling me for? If they want you to open, there's nothing we are hiding. We're not doing anything on the building up now. Open for them, let them go. Let them go and check. Let them go and inspect. If also they want to do inspection. And they brought the key, they opened for them. They went from ground floor to 17th floor. They went there and inspected everywhere and came back. But today, another surprising thing was that they now asked my boy not to come back to the building anymore. that they are going to take over the property. My boy, my Instagram handle is at Andorra Best. I all the whole of the all what happened, the video of people why they were telling my boy that they will break the gift if he fails to open it. It's there. If you go there, you will see them. I posted some of the video. If you go to my handle, you will see that. You see them. So eventually, the boy was even telling me in the video that I'm only working. That my boss asked me to open and lock, and I'm working now, and left. They went up into the building, used hammer, broke all the whole doors. The second floor, the fire did not affect the second floor during that time, and that was where we had all the equipment we imported for the renovation, both our lifts, we bought brand new lifts. The building had a 3 lifts before the fire, and we bought 3 brand new lifts, the air conditioning system, the panel, a lot of things, everything in the place. This architectural plant here, we have about 72 rooms hotel that is planned to be on top of the building. Every equipment, both safe, both fridge, both ACs, everything that we bought part of that second floor as our where we have our storage was broken and taken away by the men of I don't know who they are anyway, because I was meant to believe that they were people from Lagos State Lagos State Building Control Agency. The vehicle they came to that day had the name written boldly on their vehicle, Lagos State Building Control Agency, and the other vehicle was Task Force and Police. So because there was no information, they came in on Friday night evening where we could not be able to reach out to people or ask questions, and send all our security people away, send everybody away, take over the property.